A major rescue operation underway off the Libyan coast. A multi-level boat capsized overnight with close to 700 on board. Most of them are feared dead. Hello and welcome to CNN Newsroom. I'm Linda Kincaid. We're following this hour a rescue effort in the Mediterranean after a boat capsized overnight with possibly hundreds of migrants from Libya on board. The International Organization for Migration says 49 people have been rescued, and the Italian Coast Guard says 24 bodies have been recovered near Libya's coast. For the latest on the rescue efforts, let's go to Barbie Nadeau. She joins us now from Rome. And Barbie, there are reports that the boat capsized when people moved to one side as a merchant vessel approached. What can you tell us?
Well, we know that the SOS call came about 11:30 local time last night, and this boat was in trouble, in distress. It called the Italian Coast Guard. The Italian Coast Guard then alerts any merchant ships in the area, and this particular ship approached the vessel that was in trouble, and we understand there was sort of a panic. All of the migrants on the boat moved to one side, hoping to be rescued, and that is what caused the capsizing of that ship. Of course, it was dark, the seas were rough, it's very cold water this time of year. The chance of survival is very, very, very slim for any length of time. The Italian Coast Guard right now, there was also responding to other ships in distress in the area. It's just a tragic situation. Last week alone, 11,000 people came from Libya, the port of Libya, into Europe by way of Italy. Most of these people are sub-Saharan Africans who've been traveling for weeks, if not longer, to just get to the ports. Linda, it's a tragic situation.
Really tragic. And obviously you mentioned the waters are very cold. For the survivors, is there any update on their condition?
Well, no, they will be taken to Catania, we understand, on Sicily, where they'll receive some medical care, and they'll be interviewed by the authorities to understand better just how many people really were on that boat and who the human traffickers were. You know, when these ships come in, and these 11,000 people, even last week, the focus really is on who the human traffickers are and how to stop them from taking advantage of the desperate people who just want to get to Europe. It's a very multi-layered situation, but the human traffickers are very much to blame. The European Union is very focused on trying to stop them from this deadly trade.
No doubt. And we understand the boat was still in Libyan waters, but people had apparently been on that boat for a number of days. Is that what you're hearing?
That's what we understand, that the boat had been at sea for a couple of days. Most of these boats are not seaworthy. They're decommissioned fishing vessels or other vessels that just don't have much life left in them. A lot of them don't have motors that work. A lot of them don't go with very much gas. The traffickers give the satellite phone and the number for the Italian Coast Guard to the migrants on the ship, and they call for help. And, you know, the Italian authorities ran a program last year called Mare Nostrum that was really just a search and rescue mission. They stopped that program. It cost the Italians €9 million a month, and the European Union's Frontex started a border control with a lot less boats, as a couple of airplanes to try to watch. So it's mostly merchant ships. There's a 40% increase in merchant ships that are doing some of the rescue right now. Of course, these people aren't necessarily trained in rescue. They don't have facilities on their boats. They're just really people carriers. These people, you know, needing to get medical help a lot of times, and to get food and clothing and things like that. It's just a really tough situation.
All right, Barbie Nadeau, we'll leave it there for now. We'll talk to you very soon. Thanks very much for that update. Malta has been taking part in this rescue, and Prime Minister Joseph Muscat joins us now on the phone from Valletta. Thank you very much for your time today. So far, it's looking like this could be by far the biggest tragedy in a growing catalogue of mass drownings. Malta is assisting with the recovery. What can you tell us about the rescue operation?
It is the biggest so far, and I'm afraid it will not be the last, and maybe not the biggest that we will have during the summer if something is not done. And by something, I mean we need to securitize Libya. The international community cannot continue to turn a blind eye. What's happening so far is that we were alerted at around midnight by our Italian colleagues who are coordinating the rescue missions to send in a number of assets to help in rescuing some 700 migrants who were on board a rickety boat which capsized as soon as a merchant vessel was approaching in order to rescue them. Not more than 50 people have been rescued and alive. our troops, together with the Italian Navy, are literally looking through the bodies to try to find someone who's still alive. So it's too early to give the definite numbers, but it is a huge tragedy.
Are you able just to clarify for us exactly how many people have now been rescued, how many survivors there are?
Well, not from the information we have so far. I cannot verify it independently, but from what our troops are telling us, from what they're seeing, from the numbers they're counting, so far not more than 50.
No more than 50. Now, a spokeswoman for the UNHCR says it seems we're looking at the worst massacre ever seen on the Mediterranean, where people smugglers are knowingly putting people on boats that are not seaworthy. How would you describe this tragedy and the people smugglers?
It's genocide. Nothing less than a genocide, really. Gangs of criminals are putting people on a boat, sometimes even at gunpoint. They're putting them on a road to death, really, and nothing else. And that is why, rather than war talk from Europe or from anyone, what we really need is to push our Libyan friends to get their act together, to form a government of national unity or some sort of national unity government. And then the international community needs to intervene, not boots on the ground, but really an intervention that would help them securitize the country, their borders, and to take out these criminal gangs, these terrorists, really, at the end of the day, who are putting people's lives at risk. We cannot turn a blind eye. Europe has already been, throughout history, accused a number of times of turning a blind eye to genocide of one kind or another. This could be a repeat, and that we don't want it to be a repeat. We're the smallest member state of the European Union, but we are willing to speak up and give a voice to this terrible human tragedy.
These people are obviously very desperate. They spend thousands of euros to get on these rickety boats to make that journey. Besides Libya doing something about this, what else can the European countries do? Obviously, Malta, your country, and Italy are facing the brunt of this problem and the cost of carrying out all these rescue operations.
Look, I think that this is, given the sheer size of the humanitarian tragedy we're facing, the issue of cost and all the rest is becoming irrelevant. You know, it's not about money. We don't want money. Okay, it's costing us money. It is expensive, but I think it's not even a secondary issue. It's something that is paling to irrelevance. The crucial point is that we cannot allow more people to die at sea. This is tantamount to a genocide, really, at the end of the day, which is being perpetrated by groups of criminal gangs which have in their hand, under their control, part of a country that is fast becoming a failed state. And what we need to do now, rather than see how the migrants are being distributed and all the rest, these are very pertinent questions that can be answered later on. The crucial point at this particular juncture in time is making sure that Libya is securitized.